when something getting that amount of hype in the general public, that does, it sometimes make me want to stay away.
Right.
I tend to feel like I ain't go like that shit. So I felt the same way about Squid Games.
Because I find plenty times people condescend on social media, whether it be on WhatsApp, in WhatsApp groups, on
Facebook,
Twitter. People tend to condescend a lot now, boy.
The point, because I don't know if you've noticed, but you could barely see any children shows anymore where boys are allowed to be heroes, right? It's almost non-existent. If even when it's the boy is kind of promoted as the main character, when you look at the show, is always some girl at the side who's really the brains, and he just kind of that's how it always comes off, right?
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like
You man doesn't sound like Elmer Ford, you know.
I think Kyrie Irving is the type of person that becomes very difficult to deal with once he no longer needs anything.
Views expressed in this podcast are simply the opinions of the guests and the hosts from their perspective. These opinions aren't necessarily facts, nor with the intent to defame any person or establishment. This is not legal, medical, financial, nor spiritual advice. Hey, welcome back. It's the Alternative Perspectives podcast, and Judah and Naldo be on the inside, and it's another episode. We're here.
Yeah.
Remember, if you cannot watch the entire episode on YouTube, feel free to head across to your podcasting platforms: Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Podcast, Google Podcast, and listen to the audio and use less data, as you'd say. You could use less data. And you can also listen to the podcast while doing a whole heap of other things on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, you can look for the app 868, the app APP 868. Yeah, because
THEAPP.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, because the Alternative Perspectives podcast might have been too long for you to type, and then there's some people who can't spell, alternative or perspective. So,
Hopefully they don't listen to this podcast.
oh, okay. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I think, if you have problems spelling those words, you'll hate this podcast. Definitely, you have some issues. So another week of fun, another week of craziness in this world that we live in.
Yeah. The Kyrie Irving situation.
Just now, before you jump into that, are you a Kyrie Irving fan? I know.
Well, not really. Remember, I'm a Boston fan.
Right.
His time there wasn't, the most productive, and Boston fans have a kind of sour taste in their mouth. In the way he departed, I don't hate him, but I definitely am not as big a fan of him as I was before he arrived at Boston. Because even when he was on the Cavs, I was a fan of him then.
Okay.
I was a fan of him when he played for Boston. But then the way he left, I kind of...
So, I know, shout out Shannon Walcott. He's big up himself, he's a big Kyrie person, but people have said...
I don't know that.
Yeah, he always rate him Kyrie.
He bad.
But people have always said, and this is... I want to say this before we get into the conversation. I would have heard people say that he is a bit problematic. He has a problematic personality.
I wouldn't say a little bit. He's very problematic. I think Kyrie Irving is the type of person that becomes very difficult to deal with once he no longer needs anything from you.
Okay.
Right? So he's already acquired quite a lot of money in his career. And listen, I'm saying this, and I'm not saying something is wrong with this. I'm simply saying that, Kyrie is one of those people who to me, he seems to me to be one of those people who went through life really wanting to gather fuck you money. And now that he has fuck you money, fuck you. Fuck you. You know what I mean? And to be fair, that's what getting money is supposed to do. It's supposed to liberate you. Money is not necessarily, what money brings more than materialism is freedom. And so he's one of those people who's definitely willing to embrace the freedom that money has brought him. So yes, I think that has made him problematic.
Right. So that being said, big hullabaloo in the NBA.
Yes.
Right? He decides that
He's not getting vaccinated.
He's not getting vaccinated.
To be fair, I still don't even know if he is or isn't. I think because he keeps saying he wants to keep it private.
Right.
So I think it's actually more precise to say that he doesn't want to reveal his vaccination status.
Right. Okay.
People assume that means he's not vaccinated.
But then you're hearing talks of him not being able to play. So is it that you so want to hide your status that you're going to possibly lose money?
Well, not possibly. He will lose money.
We'll lose money.
No, but the thing is, as I say, to be fair, he has not, I don't think he's declared that he's unvaccinated. What I keep hearing him say is that he does not want to disclose his vaccination status.
No, the thing is,
we assume that means he's not vaccinated.
Right. Well, that's not what making me assume it. What making me assume it is that...
No. Well, the thing is... The only way they will know if you're vaccinated is if you tell them.
Well, right.
So if they're saying, listen, they're saying you can't play because you have not shown us that you're vaccinated.
Right. So that's what I say. So that's the only reason I am assuming that he's not. I am assuming he's not because if I am, and the possibility of losing how much million they say he could lose?
This year, I'm not too sure. Well, he's already jeopardized a $196 million contract extension that they were going to offer him.
Right.
So that's probably not going to happen now. As to how much money he's going to lose this year, I'm not sure because he's only, as far as I'm aware, he's only not going to get paid for the home games. Mm-hmm. Although he won't be a part of any of the games until he presents himself as vaccinated, I don't believe they could dock his pay for the games he's available because he's still available. Right. But they're just telling him, no, we don't want you to play. So you'll probably just get paid for everything but home games.
Right. So, and that's what I'm saying. So why I'm assuming is that how much of our money could possibly lose if I vaccinated partner, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't want to make this, I have an issue with making it public or telling all my personal health information, right? Mm-hmm. But I could lose money.
I don't think he cares about that. I think he has enough money and he's probably used his money because, listen, he could be fighting it on the principle that he doesn't agree that should be a prerequisite for him to play. So, no, I'm not saying he is. I also assume he's not. No, it's being reported that he's not. But I was just pointing out that all I've heard him keep saying is that he wants to keep that private. Not that he wants to keep his reasoning for not getting vaccinated private. No. He wants to keep his vaccination status private.
He's on the thing that his medical...
Yes, it's none of your business.
Yes, his medical records is
nobody's business, yes.
So, but as I say, I
get it. I do agree that he's probably not vaccinated. But I wouldn't also put it... I wouldn't say that Kyrie wouldn't do that either. He could be vaccinated and say, I'm fighting on principle. You shouldn't demand that of me before I play. Before I be allowed to play. And again, this is a man who was playing all of last year when there were no vaccines. Mm-hmm. You understand? When nobody was vaccinated, if he wasn't injured, everybody feel the Nets would have won. I'm not 100% sure of that, but okay, let's say that's the case. But the point is, they got to the Eastern Conference semifinals with him playing side by side with all those guys who are still there now. I don't know, they have a few new faces, unvaccinated.
And I think this is what 80% of the players vaccinated.
I think it was 90.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think probably reached 90 now, but I remember earlier on they saying it was about 80% of them vaccinated and just went there because there was a young player, I think. From
the Magic, Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac, yeah.
Yeah, and he...
But they really like here. Because remember, he was one of them who refused to kneel during the Black Lives Matter thing too. So he just really riled them up. But yeah, he's one playing in Orlando. Bradley Beal, as far as I'm aware, he still says he's not... As far as I'm aware, he's still unvaccinated. He plays for...
But do you think, based on what's going on, even there and here as well, once the majority is taking part in the charade or the game, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that the minority will always just get pushed aside?
And this is what I really wanted to talk about when we brought up this Kyrie Irving thing. What I am very, very interested in seeing is how the other players deal with this. Now, remember, the NBA is full of a bunch of players who are supposedly activists, right? Mm-hmm. Players who stand up for the rights of the players and for justice and all sorts of, and you're hearing a lot of them saying, that they're not on board with the mandates. Draymond Green came out and said outright, listen, he fine that shit. Because there was another guy on his team, Andrew Wiggins, who wasn't vaccinated and it looked like he wasn't going to play. But he got vaccinated eventually. He caved, I guess you could say. And when they asked Draymond Green, he's like, I don't care if he's vaccinated. That's not my business. In fact, he said he found the whole thing was getting way too political. So my thing is, okay, cool. So y'all not on board with the mandates. They're going to dock players, pay players who miss games because of the vaccination. Where's the protest?
Well, the thing is, that didn't start last year. You remember last year, they were taking a stand against something about coming out to play. Something and LeBron took the stand first and then he quietly...
Well, he first of all, when COVID broke out and they started to talk about playing in empty stadiums, the first thing he said is, I ain't playing in an empty stadium.
Right.
I'm not going through that. But then I think what started to happen was when he realized that there was a chance for him to win. That was not last season. That was the season before. Right?
Okay.
When there's a chance for him to win a ring, when they came up with the idea for the bubble, Kyrie Irving didn't want to play that either. He was saying that there were more important things in the world than basketball. And guess what? He was getting support then.
Right.
Nobody was calling him selfish then. No, they were saying, because, the Black Lives Matter protests were going on and COVID. And so Kyrie Irving was essentially saying, I don't want to go and play no bubble. I find that shit. There's so much more important things taking place right now. But he was getting support then.
And then I think as well, there was a thing where they wanted to wear something on the jerseys. You remember they put the names of people.
Well, I mean, they had different slogans. They had like liberation and equality and justice and
then it had a bacchanal with that too.
Bacchanal?
Yeah, it had some. I think some people were against it and some people were for.
Well, I know some. All I know is that some players were against the kneeling for the anthem. Jonathan Isaac being one of them. He was just one, but he was the most. I think he was one of the few black ones who held that position. But as far as I know, everybody was on board with the NBA protests because they had logos all on the court. In other words, they were all pretending to be activists, right?
And now they stop activating.
They stop activating now because there's actually now the position. You see, and that's the thing. They always pretended that they were holding an unpopular position. LeBron is always kind of hailed for being this athlete that stands up for justice. But all of the things he stands up for are popular. They make him more popular. Those are popular issues. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
But didn't he as well? He wasn't some hot water last week too.
Right, because he's not on board with forcing people.
Right, and he said that making people's status shouldn't be known. Right, yes, if they get vaccinated or not. Yeah. Right, and he came out and said he did his homework, he did his research, and he think it was the best thing for him and his family. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But you should go out there and do your research and do what's best for you and your family. And the news outlets, they took a bite at him.
Well, obviously because he is trying to straddle the line, right? Because he knows the black community in the States, especially in the States, is not particularly in fact, I think statistically they're the least vaccinated group in the United States. So he knows amongst the black community.
Not even in the UK too, apparently.
Right. So he knows amongst the black community, it ain't gonna really be, he gonna lose some stripes and some support if he was to come out and be like like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and them like, take the vaccine. If they don't take the vaccine, ban them, don't let them anywhere near these stadiums. He can't say that because he has to keep, and I don't know if this is how he truly feels, but let's be honest, LeBron knows how he's a marketing genius, and he knows how to connect with people. He knows what to say to get the crowd behind him. He can't say don't get vaccinated. That's not gonna. So he's gonna say yes, I got vaccinated, my family got vaccinated, but he can't come out there and first of all be completely against the players.
Right.
And Kyrie Irving, as much as people might want to say that they're not close because of what happened in the Cavs, I still think they're friendly. And I think, he wouldn't really want to throw Kyrie Irving under the bus. So he had to straddle the two lines and say, well, all right, I got vaccinated, but I'm not going to force anybody else. But I don't want to hear this, that. I want to see you say, listen, take a stance. He should be able to play. Why we can't just test him before the games?
Mm-hmm. I mean, people testing people before they go into comedy shows.
Before they go into concerts. Right? That's what I'm saying. So why they can't just test him? What is No, the problem would be the thing is the NBA isn't in control of what these cities do. So like in the case of LA, Oakland, where the Warriors are, Brooklyn, where the Nets are, and the Knicks, the city has a mandate.
Yeah, well, then the fun in it, it's still in the NBA hands, because the NBA could say, we're going back into a bubble. When I say a bubble, meaning we will play in Miami, or we will play in Orlando, where the crowds will come and they do have these mandates, and everybody come here and play, and everybody could play.
Well, that's what people were suggesting for Brooklyn. They could play the games in New Jersey, right? Funny, they stopped being the New Jersey Nets the other day to become the Brooklyn Nets, and it's going to play the home games somewhere else. So that's what some people were suggesting. But I think at the end of the day, it would look bad on the part of any NBA team to do that is for one player. It would seem as if they're bending over backwards for one player. But if all of the league stands together and says, listen, we don't want, first of all, we mean docking players pay for it. No, none of that. None of that. The players didn't, listen, it's not like when they signed the contracts, they had something about COVID vaccines.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's not, you can't fault the players. The players, when the players signed up, this is not what they signed up for. So how are you going to tell me you're going to dock my pay? Like, what kind of bullshit is that? They could stand up for that. But this now is a cause that is not popular, where they could lose some cred. They will actually because saying fuck Donald Trump, nobody gonna so their fans love to hear that. You know what I mean? They're not gonna lose any sneaker endorsement, any deals. What endorsement deals has LeBron James jeopardized by coming out in favor of like Black Lives Matter? None of that. Right. He's lauded all the time for that. But this you'll get some real heat for. The media will the media who's always fawning all over LeBron, they will turn on him like look what they're doing to Kyrie Irving.
Right. But I think, as I say, it could be a situation as well where, because it's Kyrie, and Kyrie kind of had a reputation for being troublesome, and when you have a reputation for being troublesome, it's very easy for the media to turn on you, because I've realized even the media right now, they don't even know how to deal with the Dave Chappelle situation, because they're in a position now where we're supposed to be against Dave Chappelle now, but he's so big.
Right.
So I think people like LeBron, even though the media try to attack him there, it fall real fast. Think about it. They take and they come at him for 2-3 days. And
no, but that's different though. That's different because what he did was not.
I know it wasn't as big and as harsh.
It wasn't something.
Or as polarizing.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, I think if him and other people, a few others, they don't need plenty of them to take the stand and they don't want to, as I say, they don't want to take the stand and say, don't get vaccinated. Hey, that is nobody's business. Like, work it out another way. I think they'll be okay. Because
those players could come out anti the vaccine mandate and not anti the vaccine easily. They could easily do, and from how many of them are speaking, they are in favor. I'm not making that up. That seems like that's how they actually feel about it. Like, okay, I got vaccinated, but I don't care if he does.
Well, the thing is, I feel like there's some conversation happening in the US, in, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it the pop culture circles, because right now, Charlemagne was one of the people who was saying he's not getting vaccinated, right?
He's serious? You say he wasn't getting vaccinated?
That's before. Let me be clear. He wasn't getting vaccinated until it was FDA approved, right?
Okay, all right.
Then the FDA approved it, and then he was like, "Okay, well, now I'm going and try." And he said he went 3 times and never happened because just chicken out, and he find that the consent form didn't make sense, and then they tell him, "You don't really need to sign a consent form because it really don't make a difference." He's like, "Well, then some anyhow." Nevertheless, but then the other day he had to show up at an event. And somebody asked him, but how are you showing up to the event if it's only vaccinated? It could be vaccinated people. Did you get vaccinated? And he's like, well, that's nobody's business at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm vaccinated or not.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you understand what I'm saying?
So you feel he got vaccinated?
Unless he's bigger than what's going on in New York.
Plenty of people from what I understand, keep saying, it's not being enforced as strictly as people say. I don't have anybody that I know personally that could attest to that, but I've seen people on heard people on different podcasts and seen people in different videos say, listen, I'm unvaccinated and I've been in at least 3 or 4 restaurants in New York.
Serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they only had, I think the other day they announced the number of violations they had, and it was ridiculously small. And when the people who were reporting the news were like, listen, I know people who try to do this every single day, who try to get into, so it can't just be this meager number of violations. But back when you're saying about Kyrie, about him being easier to
pick on,
to target, slightly, but like I say, last year when he was saying this, he was being just as troublesome, but because what he was talking about was he was saying things that were, popular amongst it. He didn't hold an unpopular opinion. In other words, well, he might have been unpopular in the sense that he didn't want to play. He didn't think the league should resume. But the reasoning he was given was in keeping with the whole George Floyd Black Lives Matter,
because he didn't want to come out to take away the attention
from more important matters. Yeah. And he also mentioned, what the country was going through with COVID while we studying basketball and that kind of thing. And I mean, that's to me, I didn't think that was necessarily out of timing. But what I'm saying is he was lauded then. Nobody was calling him selfish or troublesome or finicky or anything like that. So it's not just that he's easy to pick on. It's what he's doing. Now, in his case, because unlike Bradley Beal and Jonathan Isaac, and Bradley Beal is probably just as crucial to Washington as probably more because Kyrie have help in Brooklyn. Yeah. But Jonathan Isaac he's a good player, but he's not up there. He's not a superstar. But in the case of Kyrie Irving, there's a team that has championship dreams and aspirations
and potential,
and he's a key element in that. So yeah, people are gonna make a big deal about it, but you see how he's you've seen some of the clips of Stephen A. Smith going after.
No.
I mean, I never liked Stephen A. Smith. I'll be honest with you. I think he's a clown. But he sunk to a new low in my regard.
But no, one of the reasons I don't take in Stephen A. Smith at all is because, in my opinion, I think Stephen A. Smith is a very good marketing personnel. I think he knows how to say things to trigger people and how to get into the loop, the
news loop,
and the viral, the viral kind of loop.
Well, not so much anymore. The show tanking, but all right. But I get where you're coming from. But I mean, I think what I don't like about Stephen A. Smith is that he embodies to me what is wrong with sports media. Sports media started off, just like almost everything, I guess, it starts off kind of legitimate, and it's, it sticks to, hey, let's come and talk about sports. I like sports, so I would love sports talk shows, and but then, he started to try too hard to go viral and to get, to get attention and so on. And he just turned into me to just be like a gossip columnist now. You know what I mean? It has no place in sports. If he was to just leave ESPN and do his own thing where he just, did a kind of gossip column and done, then fine. But I find his behavior has no place in sports entertainment as far as I'm concerned.
Come like what you were talking about earlier on them footballers who like to dive. But anyhow, but what you are saying?
Well, essentially calling Kyrie Irving selfish.
Okay.
Now, the funny thing is, now I don't know if he's speaking to players on the team and players on the team expressing this, but the players so far have been refusing to throw him under the bus. Now, I do think it's also because they think Brooklyn could win without him, right? Once Kevin Durant and James Harden healthy, they think they have enough talent to win. So Kyrie Irving is kind of like the icing on the cake. But if it was just Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in terms of the offensive power on the team, maybe men might have been a little bit more pissed. But it appears to me like the players, his teammates don't. But he's been pushing the organization, pushing the players to hate Kyrie Irving for doing what he's doing.
But to be fair, I think that is what now. I'm not saying what you're doing is right, but I think that's what he does just to get his name out there, boy. I don't think that's what he truly believes.
Well, I think he believes Kyrie Irving is being selfish. I think he does believe that in the way he's behaving. And the funny thing is, you are telling a man that he should violate his personal conscience like that, put his body at risk, because let's say let's assume is one of two reasons he doesn't want to take it. One, he's afraid that it's not healthy. He's afraid it could do him physical harm. Or two, he's against the idea of, he doesn't feel he needs it, and he's against the idea of being bullied into taking it. Those are two very fundamentally serious reasons not to take a vaccine. You are telling him that he should violate that because to play a game, to win a piece of iron, because he's not jeopardizing them other players' salaries. It's not like if he don't play, Blake Griffin don't get paid.
Everybody says
everybody. These are multi-millionaires that are playing this game here. You know what I mean? It's not like anybody's losing. I know they like to get hyperbolic when they're talking about sports, and it's always like brothers in arms going into battle, but it's not battle. They're going to play a fucking sport. They're going to dribble a ball and put it in a basket to win a piece of iron.
The thing is, and I sent you the clips with Kyrie saying what he had to say. Responding to, because apparently he said something on Instagram live post, and then he tried to rebuttal, and he rebutted, and nevertheless, but I think it's real funny, because the same time you calling him selfish, not you, but Stephen Smith calling him selfish. I think it's pretty selfish for you to want me to do something to suit all
to entertain you.
Yeah.
And for your entertainment. What the fuck is you? So I must violate my sense of bodily autonomy so I could dribble a ball so you could be happy. So what kind of nonsense for Brooklyn fans to win? And they don't win nothing. You understand? They don't get nothing from it.
Get pride.
You understand what I'm saying?
Good.
Because ultimately, this is a game we play for a piece of metal. A gold-plated piece of metal.
I would love to hear talk about this Angela Yee, boy.
Why?
I'm totally not a fan because she's real Virtue Signal now, boy. I know she real Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't watch
Breakfast Club anymore.
Yeah, much anymore.
Yeah. I have a difficult time digesting her stuff, but so much so that a guy from I forget where came on the show a while ago, and he told them, listen, if you all wear this clothes from an ex-basketball team, right? Forget which team it was, he will donate how much ever. I think it was like $200,000 or whatever the case may be to
a charity.
Whatever charity they had, they were pushing. And Miguel real close to do it,
Oh, so it was like what, New York Knicks jersey?
I forget what it wasn't New York, it wasn't so close. You understand?
Well, no, because Brooklyn, the Nets and the Knicks they are like the rivals.
But I don't think it was. I don't think it was. That's it. I don't think it was so close.
They have a rivalry. Oh, okay.
Because I mean, it is still kind of probably not them, but Brooklyn is in New York, so
no, it is. But one thing,
but that's but it was somewhat like out of state, so all the way off.
Because it probably would anger a Brooklyn Nets fan less to wear any other jersey, because those other teams aren't teams, they aren't rival teams. You're not supposed to have hate in your heart for Lakers. So a Brooklyn Nets fan wearing a Lakers jersey is not a big deal.
Yeah.
But you're telling them to wear a Knicks jersey, that's like asking a Barcelona fan to wear a Real Madrid jersey. Then it's supposed to be problematic. So I don't know what it was asking her to wear, but yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, that's so serious, you girl. I mean, 200,000 however for a charity.
And she said no?
What she's telling me, she would wear it under her clothes or something. Anyhow. Yeah, so.
But yeah, I am so in. I'm watching this with bated breath because I want to see where all these NBA activists, where all these players with all this fervor to stand up for justice, and where is it now? Who is going to stand up for unvaccinated players?
To be fair, right? If I am playing on a team, on another team other than the Nets, why would I stand up for Kyrie to play against me to beat me?
True. That could be, but I mean, again, we're supposed to be putting all of that aside. It's supposed to be, because first of all of you all are part of, well, presumably all are part of the players union, right? And it should, none of you all should want to see anybody's pay docked, right? So that happened without an argument. None of you are going to sample, hey, what's that? Why? That's all of us, rivalries aside, basketball aside, more importantly than that, we are all supposed to be looking out for each other. And that's what the Players Association is supposed to be doing. So the Players Association just, we don't like that. And they just end it out.
I think a lot of people right now living lives very confused. And honestly, I can't get vexed with them because everybody had the will to fight.
No, listen, you don't have the will to fight, that's fine. But then stop pretending you are an activist. And you could tell me what some people say is, oh, well, because you're an activist don't mean you have to be an activist for every cause. Some things you may not be connected to or you don't care. But this is definitely connected to you. You have feelings about it. You have an opinion about players being forced to get the vaccine. As when I say you, the players.
Some of them, well, some of them, but then some might say, Dan, I get my vaccine, I play, and I
but high profile players have said I'm not on that.
But right, but as I say one of the high profile ones who say they're not on that to stand up to,
to stand up and say, hey, listen, I until Kyrie could play, I'm not playing.
Nah, I think, and because I think I think they're in a very difficult position because, as I say, everybody on activism, right? And you could end up in a real shitty situation being on the wrong side of activism in today's world.
True, but I think in this instance, I think that the players are underestimating the amount of support they're going to get because there are lots of people out there who are pro-vaccine but anti the vaccine mandates. But you just had to have some balls. And I mean, if LeBron starts to actively be like, hey, hear this now. I don't like this. I don't like the idea. I don't want to play if my brethren Kyrie can't play. I mean, I am not in favor of, putting anybody at risk, but there are things we could do. And he was playing last year. Why can't we find a way around this? Because this clearly isn't about safety. This is about forcing him to conform. Why are we doing that? As Draymond Green kept saying, why are we pressing this? Why are you pressing this so hard? And because you're pressing this, like, people are beginning to think like, what is there something else?
Something else? Yeah,
is there something else afoot here?
That is what they're trying to see come out of it. Well, let's see how it goes. I think, as I said before, it will be very interesting because a lot of people do want to be on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Of the smoke.
The smoke. And that's the thing. If you want no smoke, then just say that I don't want no smoke. I just talk when it's convenient. I just, when is a issue that.
But nobody is saying that. And I think that's the problem now with that.
Everybody wants to feel like a hero, but nobody wants to sacrifice.
Right.
Exactly.
But you know who is the real hero?
Who?
Joe Rogan. That's the real hero. Listen, I have a level of respect for this man. Yeah. Because
I remember the last time he was talking.
People might say, "Oh, he's a super Joe Rogan fan or whatever." But no, I have a level of respect because when he had to turn up the heat, he turned up the heat. And I being honest, I would like to have that kind of conviction and that kind of confidence.
But I think in this case, it was easy for him. It was easy. CNN gave him a layup. I'm just surprised that Sanjay went on the show. I think if that was you and Sanjay came on the show, you'd do the same thing.
Not at this stage.
Why? What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't think.
No, because for him to come on the show, it would mean that you have some sort of
a clout.
Yeah, some sort of clout. So if you're sitting there face to face and you could confront somebody from the organization that was, perpetuating untruths about you, then, or promoting, I should say, untruths about you, then yeah, you'd go after him. I think I would go after him. I think in this case, Sanjay gave him a layup by coming on the show.
So let's take in a little clip of Joe Rogan and how he handled one of CNN's journalists and
the chief medical correspondent,
right? After the situation where anyway, let's take it.
So for you, Joe Rogan,
yes,
I would say you've had it.
Yes.
So now get one shot of the vaccine.
No.
Why not?
Because I have better immunity than I would if I was vaccinated. Right?
Yes,
don't I?
I think your immunity is really good.
So why, if I've already gotten through COVID and I was really only sick for a day, and then 5 days later I was negative, and I do have the natural antibodies now, why would I take a chance in getting vaccinated on top of that?
By the way, I'm glad you're better. I'm glad it only lasted a day.
You're probably the only one at CNN that's glad.
No. We're not.
The rest of them are all lying about me taking horse medication.
Hold on. Here we go. I think he came there a bit frightened, boy, if you understand what I'm saying.
Who, Sanjay?
Yeah, he came there because...
Well, he said he was in a kind of a, I guess you could call it an op-ed he wrote afterwards. I don't know where it was published, but he kind of wrote an article about the visit to Joe Rogan Studios, and he said he was actually afraid that Joe Rogan would have choked him or something like that. So maybe he was physically afraid.
Because he tried to make everything very light. And then he kind of started, well, yeah, you're immune system real good, like, you understand?
But there's some key elements that I want to press on.
Talk about that.
That bothered you.
It should bother you too. They're lying at your network about people taking human drugs versus drugs from veterinary.
Calling it a horse dewormer is not a flattering thing. I get that.
It's a lie. It's a lie on a news network, and it's a lie that's a willing. That's a lie that they're conscious of. This is not a mistake.
Yeah.
They're unfavorably framing it as veterinary medicine.
Well, the FDA put this thing out. You saw that. Did you see that thing that the FDA put out?
What
thing.
You see what he did there? Joe Rogan is asking him about what CNN said, right?
Yeah.
And all of it, you saw what
FDA.
What had to do with this?
Yeah.
Don't try to, because he wants to get out of this. I don't know why he thought he would have been able to. That's what I'm saying. I'm still surprised he went on the show, because I don't know how he expected to leave there without being confronted like this. But trying to divert the attention, like, no, CNN didn't do nothing wrong. Look at what the FDA did. It's like, what? Go ahead.
Yeah, put out.
It was a tweet, and it was snarky. I admit it. They said, "You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Stop taking this stuff," or something like that.
Why would you say that when you're talking about a drug that's been given out to billions and billions of people? A drug that was responsible for one of the inventors of it making the
Nobel Prize.
Winning the Nobel Prize in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, a drug that has been shown to stop viral replication in vitro. You know that, right? Why would they lie and say that's horse dewormer? I can afford people medicine, motherfucker. This is ridiculous. It's just a lie.
I don't think anyone is thick.
But don't you think that a lie like that is dangerous on a news network when you know that they know they're lying? You know that they know that I took medicine. Like, here it is. This is ivermectin.
You got
this
it with
right
you.
Here. Somebody gave it to me.
All right, hang on. The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like, I feel like
You man that doesn't sound like Elmer Ford, you know.
We're going so fast. I want to stick on something else. No, we're not going. We're not going to stick on anything
Especially when
else.
you come in more, please.
Yeah.
If you was on CNN, you could have done
Well,
that.
of course.
Yeah,
on
but-
CNN, he wouldn't have been even able to talk for so long.
Right? But in my place.
Not here.
I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem, that your news network lies?
Well, I don't.
Dude.
What did they say?
They lied.
What did
They
they
said
say?
I was taking horse dewormer. First of all, it was prescribed to me by a doctor.
Yeah.
Along
They
with
shouldn't have said
a
it was
bunch of other medications.
If you got a human pill, because there were people that were taking it, the veterinary medication, and you're not, obviously. You got it from a doctor, so that it shouldn't be called that. Ivermectin can be a very effective medication for parasitic disease, and as you say, it's probably, I think a 250 million people have taken it around the world. I get that.
Man say, how you don't know?
Yeah.
How you don't know?
Yeah.
What the statistics are?
He's not relying on Joe. As you just said, it's 250 million people or whatever.
Right?
Well, I think what Sanjay was trying to say is 250 million people have been prescribed it, but billions of doses have been taken. So they may be in both of them might be correct there.
I think he's self-efficient because I'm pretty sure there are plenty of places where you don't need a prescription for ivermectin, like Trinidad. So then you wouldn't be able to count.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure there are plenty of other places.
The manufacturers would give statistics on their sales.
Right. So that was it. So you'd have a better idea. you'd have a better idea.
And when it was still under patent, I think Merck used to keep track of the amount of sales because they would present it in the report.
No, but what's it? So you get idea of the sales, but you wouldn't necessarily get idea the amount of people
who took it. Right?
But
Yeah.
but you know how people display figures. We try to call the smaller figure to kind of
of course,
to kind of discredit.
of course,
Yeah.
of course, and that's why Joe Rogan kind of called him out.
Yeah.
So
Way more. Billions of people have taken it.
Can I just come back to the one I want to talk about? Two things
You
on the
have
ledger.
you have before we get to that. Does it bother you that the news network you work for out and out lied, just outright lied about me taking horse dewormer?
They shouldn't have said that.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. I don't think. I think if we play the part with the actual news clip, the CNN news clip, we might get in trouble. So I think you could stop it there, right? Now, the thing is, right? The reason why I love this clip because I tell people all the time. We talk about it all the time, and I try to tell people all the time what you see on. Not just CNN. I mean, he's picking on CNN here. And to be fair, CNN was not the only news
But
outlet.
I guess, and that's what we had here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what he had there. So he's picking on CNN there, right? But a lot of what you see on mainstream media is not necessarily news. Sometimes, in my opinion, it's outright propaganda, and other times it's just plain, straight, shitty journalism, right? One news outlet reports it. It sounds good to another, so they just pick it up and they run with it. They don't investigate. They just, okay, well, that's what they say. Now, a lot of people might probably say, and they tell me this a lot, like, why are you worried about CNN? You living in Trinidad, right? A lot of people might be watching this now and saying, but why you care about Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta? And that's the media in Trinidad. Why? The reason why that's so important and why it drives me crazy that people still think that they're watching news when they're looking at things like CNN is that here in this country, we don't have, the media houses here don't have the resources to do first-hand journalism when it comes to international stories. So they just essentially, all international, what we report here as international news just comes from sources like CNN. And so when CNN puts out a report and you as a local journalist thinks, oh, well, this is as good as, this is as good as gold. This is the kind of bullshit that you're reporting.
I have a different spin on it. And here's my spin on it. The fact that, well, one is humans working and they are able to do that. It have journalists here who could do the same thing. There are news outlets here that could do the same thing. Give you totally misleading information on a situation.
I know. But what I'm saying is the reason why it's important that we drive home to people here that what you think, BBC, CBS, all of them, you can't look at those things uncritically anymore. You can't just assume that those is because that impacts on us. How many times have you heard people here refer to ivermectin as either dog medicine or horse medicine? Where do you think they got that from?
I know, I see it on Facebook,
Where do you think they got that from? Where do you think, I think I've heard, I don't want to misspeak, so I will refrain from saying that, but a lot of people go up. In fact, you bring up that to anybody, like the average person, say, hey, you know what ivermectin? That dog medicine shit, It's absolute fuckery.
I'm in a group with some people who think that they're intelligent.
Yeah.
And some of them are. And they will behave that way.
Because they think they see that on BBC or CNN or whatever. And so if this doesn't show you now that is a charade that you see on TV there, and I don't know if you saw Sanjay Gupta when he went back on CNN. He went on the show with Don Lemon and went back to doing exactly what he was doing before.
Serious?
Don Lemon said to him, I wish, I don't know, I didn't, we should have stored the clip,
right.
But Don Lemon said to him, well, I just want to correct some of the things he was stating. CNN did not lie. Ivermectin is a horse deworming medicine. And Sanjay Gupta was like, yeah. And then Sanjay Gupta, in response to him, says, well, the FDA put out a tweet, there's the same thing that you were just on Joe Rogan saying that You didn't agree with it.
Yeah.
When you said it, you report a tweet and it was snarky, I admit it. That's what you said. And then they come and report that bullshit back because it's all a game.
Because it could say, yes, it is
a horsey woman,
but there is a human.
And he did not take a horsey
Right.
woman. That's the point. He did not take a horsey woman.
But then you see, that way when they catch me, that'll beat them up.
Wait a minute.
When they behave like that, now, boy. But then you talk one thing with my dog, you're going on TV and I got it here.
So at this stage, I don't think CNN is even pretending to be news anymore. They're just saying, listen, we just do bullshit over here. Our fans like this. We are, we are here to push a particular agenda. And that's that. And fuck that. And we live in our little bubble. And
I was going to crack a joke there. But boy, I want to end up, well, I ain't going to end up like Dave Chappelle because I end up a bit worse. You know?
Because you could be cancelled.
Well, no, I don't think I can be cancelled. I'm not big enough. Right? Because the joke I was going to make, even though they know one thing, but they want to still say something else now,
like a different group of people. Okay, all right. I see where you're going. I see where you're going with that. But I honestly, I showed that to a couple of people, my mother-in-law included, and because listen, I have kind of given up on trying to get people to think critically because I realize, listen, people they don't have, some of them don't have the capacity to do it, and there's some people they don't want to. They prefer the lies feel better.
Right.
They rather being lied to. They rather to be lied to because it makes them feel better. It makes them feel safe. It's what they already believe, so they don't want to investigate and do any further anywhere. But I showed it to her because I just wanted her to see. Listen, this is what I keep telling you over and over. That shit you watch should not be watched uncritically. You should not look at that and think, well, they're telling me facts. They're telling me the truth. Because, and later on in that clip, Joe Rogan goes on to ask Sanjay Gupta, when the reason why this is dangerous, and you don't, if you're wondering why people don't believe in vaccines and and they don't believe you when you talk, it's because of that.
Yeah.
It's because of that.
Clip,
if you're lying about this, what else are you lying about? When you talk about Russia and what Trump was doing and what Trump wasn't doing and how do we know any of that is not just bullshit that you feed into your audience because you know your audience wants to hear that? And forget what else they're lying about. Why would they lie about that? What would be the point? There is a very easy and legitimate way to report that. Famous podcaster Joe Rogan announced to his fans the other day that he came down with COVID. He claims that he took a barrage of medicines, including the controversial ivermectin, which to date has not been approved by the FDA or the WHO for treatment, for use against COVID. He claims also that he's well. He was well after 3 or 4 days.
Right.
End of story. That would have been a story that contained all of the relevant information. If you're scared that people might hear what he's saying and take the things he's recommending, then you could put in that part. Like of the treatments he took, one is the controversial drug ivermectin that has not been proven or has not been approved by XYZ. End of story. End of story. And you should have put in that it was prescribed by a doctor.
Right.
That would have been a legitimate way to cover the story.
And as Joe Rogan said, why make sure and put in that he recovered in.
Because the thing is, if your fear is you have to demonize ivermectin because you don't want people to take it because it's dangerous. Now, the drug itself, if used properly, is not dangerous. The human drug itself. And if you get it prescribed by your doctor, then, you should go with your doctor's advice. But if that is your fear, then how are you helping that by lying that he took horsey woman and then people are like, so Joe Rogan dead? No, he not dead. Well then maybe I should take horsey woman too because he's fine.
Right, and then they go and buy the horsey woman version of it, and then it's problems
because you have an agenda in your reporting, and I think part of it is just to have sensational headlines, but I also think part of it, there's a nefarious element of that agenda there. There was maybe it's against Joe Rogan himself. He have been saying that. He have been saying that the news outlets and they
have a difficult time with him, with the amount of viewership and whatnot, and
the amount of sway that he has, the amount of people that listen to him.
Yeah.
Right. So it could be just a personal thing against him, or a thing to demonize ivermectin.
But think about it, it was 2 in 1, so you get it
Exactly.
to attack both of them one time.
One time, right. And also on top of that, have a sensational headline that your audience who doesn't like those people who don't want to get vaccinated.
But
so they hear that and just like, yeah.
I think the most frightening thing in that is if from that, people who didn't know about Joe Rogan decided to, hey, let me go and check out Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And then hear Joe Rogan say, well, they say this, but I was better in 5 days. Totally COVID negative in 5 days. Then
you would think, because so you didn't say he took a human medicine. You said he took horse dewormer, and they're thinking, well, he took horse dewormer and he's fine. He didn't end up in the ICU or the emergency room because he overdosed. No. So then maybe I should get some of that horse paste, and if I get COVID too, idiots. Not the people who do that. I mean, that when you report it that way, how are you helping your cause? You're supposedly afraid that you want to make sure people don't get the idea that medicine works. Well then,
that's it.
You could have just, first of all, they could have just not covered the Joe Rogan thing at all. At all.
Nah, you know it come like, sometimes you see a situation and, boy, this look like a low hanging.
Low hanging. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so, good.
Yeah.
ivermectin and Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You know,
I get to demonize.
I ain't gonna let this pass.
Yeah.
And you know what happen? You stretch and fall in the drain.
Because you're retarded.
Yeah, you fall in the drain now, boy.
And the thing is, as I say, now I know why they did it, but if you're going to pretend that, the reason why you are so stringent in having negative coverage of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin is because you don't want people to think that these things are effective and use them when the FDA hasn't approved them, whatever. Okay, if that's your position, I don't think that's your position. That should be your position as a news outlet. A news outlet should just be agnostic and give people the facts. But fine, if you want to take the position that you think you're saving lives by lying about ivermectin or whatever, then fine. But you don't even serve that purpose when you cover the story like that. Because when people hear he got it, here he took that, and here he was fine, not just in 2 weeks he cleared it quickly and is living his life normally. You don't really paint the picture that ivermectin is dangerous. You don't really paint it.
They more help the ivermectin cause
than anything else.
But so, the problem? The problem in all of this, it come back down to, well, we have the news outlets, and then because, why I want to tell you, why I say this is because, as I said, the group I in, I've been telling them about ivermectin for a while.
You dropped that video in the group?
Did I? No, I think I just wasn't. I'm not in the mood to. Right now, I want to come out to the group, to be totally honest. But I just wasn't in for the back and forth, right? And I've realized certain things in this COVID situation. Now, these are people I have known since 1997 to now. Right?
Like you marked that date, that's school.
Yeah, that's school. Yeah,
friends.
Secondary school people, right? So that's why I could see that, right? That's how much years? 24 years? Yeah, 24 years I've known these people. And I'm seeing a side of these people now that I've never seen before.
Right.
To be totally honest with you, dealing with these things.
Since COVID, you mean?
Yeah, since COVID and COVID discussions and COVID topics and whatnot and who anti-vax and whoever and I mean, we were having a conversation and we are saying, if you have this conversation with these people in person, it might be a total different thing.
Yeah.
And then, so that's one of the reasons, because I don't want to come out of the group, because sometimes when I come out of the group, you sometimes look like the weaker one.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I don't want to seem like the weaker one.
It's like you wave the white flag. I give up. I can't do this.
Yeah. Which could be a bad thing too, because sometimes you have to do things for your own mental health,
Yeah.
And I just, I was thinking, there's a demon or these devices in our hands now. I think having any conversation in person is a total different conversation than trying to have these conversations. Because I find plenty times people condescend on social media, whether it be on WhatsApp, in WhatsApp groups, on
Facebook,
Twitter, people tend to condescend a lot now, boy. And I was like, you know, that kind of brought that kind of awareness to me, like social media.
So you're realizing what I've been saying? Social media is dog shit. It's the devil. It needs to be. Listen, if I could if you tell me today, Judy could snap your finger and make one thing in this world disappear, it wouldn't be hunger. It wouldn't be death and damnation. It would be fucking social media. I would snap my finger and get rid of social media in a heartbeat because of exactly, well, among other things, but exactly what you're pointing out there.
Yeah. I have had this week coming off of the Dave Chappelle thing, you know, seeing some things, and I was like, nah, boy, this place, you know what it is? Social media now has become a fighting cage or a ring that people come there ready to fight.
For rap.
Yeah. People come there for war. And I was like, I realized that this week and I was like, nah. Boy.
And you see, and the ramification, one of the major consequences of that is that's why we find it so difficult to solve major issues that our society is facing, because you're not having the conversations in healthy spaces. I personally feel that had COVID taken place in 1992, the response would have been completely different.
Right.
It would not have torn at the fabric of our society as much. Yes, people might have differed in their ideas about how to deal with it or so on, but we would have been having the discussions in a much more productive manner. But everything plays out on social media now, and social media affects how everybody behaves. You say, as you were pointing out, the reason why CNN has become such a dumpster fire, dog shit, and I mean other media houses as well. I'm not picking on them alone, but the reason why that has become the case is because social media has broken the news. The news, it probably always had a little bit of propaganda mixed in, but generally there were journalistic standards that people used to have to adhere to, providing, not injecting yourself into the story. Our journalists used to be told it's not your role to do that. You find facts, you present facts, put it in a holistic context, and let the viewer or the audience, the consumer, make their own mind up.
Well, and you know the quote unquote 140 characters concept, right? I think I also agree with what you're saying in terms of now everybody shooting for punchline headlines. Right. Not just headlines, but punchline headlines.
And to serve particular groups. They're not trying to tell the news anymore. They're trying to tell stories, because stories sell. They're trying to drive narratives. They want you to feel emotional about the news. If they presented the news as just raw facts, if they just said, this is what has happened, then, you know, you and I would be interested, but the general public would be like, it wouldn't get much traction on social media. But if you have, because a narrative must have a bad guy and a good guy. So that's why every news story these days, especially international news, seems to be pointing a finger at somebody, and, you know, as somebody as a perpetrator and somebody as a victim. You understand? And it's normally from an ideological divide, you know. So if a right-wing boogeyman or a left-wing boogeyman, but the reason why the news has to do that is because that's what gets engagement on social media.
No, because there's one aspect of social media, right? And I was watching a video this morning from Mr. Who's the Boss, right? He's normally a tech reviewer, but for some reason he decided to talk about social media and the ills in society or where it's going. And based on what he's saying, I think he's correct. It's not going to get better, you know?
No, it's not.
It's going to get extremely worse, because everything is algorithms. And the algorithms are made in a way to, okay, you dislike, I just going to call it, right? Somebody dislike Trump. They're going to channel all the Trump haters to you. People who like to write bad things about Trump. Right?
Yeah, because people have just, and social media has allowed people to engage in narcissism as opposed to tame the narcissism. You don't feel the news should tell you the facts. You feel the news should tell you what you want to hear.
Right. And you're saying that as well. So here's the twofold in it, right? One, so if there's a particular news channel that wants to appeal to you, and this group of people who dislike, let's say, Trump or any particular thing, then that news channel now curates its news to this batch of people.
To suit that, exactly.
Right? And now we have this echo chamber.
Exactly.
One particular.
Exactly.
Right?
So like people who would have never heard that ivermectin actually has a human use. There's a human, it's a drug developed to treat humans as well. And that, there is okay, let me not go any further because I'm not a scientist. So, but there is a version of it that is used for human beings. How they never heard that before? Because the same outlet that reported that Joe Rogan took horse dewormer is all they watch. And they watch it because they want to wake up and get news that makes them feel good.
Right.
And news that makes them feel good is these people are bad and the bad people over there are still doing bad things.
Right.
And so they could use that now and post that on social media.
Remember, and I mean, a lot of people will forget this, but remember Trump was one of the first people to come out openly and talk about, or I should say in a high position, talk about alternatives, which was the hydroxychloroquine, right? So now everybody, once you come at something as an alternative to the vaccine, there's people see it as being kind of Trumpish now.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but he is also the one who pushed for the vaccines, but people just forget that.
Right, yeah. And he also championed Regeneron, which is now which has now been given approval for use in treatment of COVID. So he took it as one of the drugs that they gave him, and he was talking about how important it could be in the fight against COVID. And now even the FDA in the United States has approved it and said, yes, it's a drug that can be used again to fight COVID. So yeah, that was another thing that he was quote unquote right about that he didn't.
But I guess people just figure out.
They don't want to know. That's the problem. They don't want to know. That's the and they encourage now. People aren't encouraged to challenge their feelings or to have the feelings or the opinions challenged anymore. So in social media they could find a nice little safe haven where the things they believe and the people they like, and they never have that challenge. So nobody in your social media sphere can, because you only watch news that confirms your bias.
Right.
When someone comes from a different angle on your social media now, you're like, what? This person has to be some nutbag from wherever. You know what I'm saying? So you immediately block them, or you get all your friends. Look at this crazy person. You don't engage the person's actual ideas. None of that. You just I live in a world where only what I believe is real.
Now, as I say, nice social media and news, but then let's look at, because of course in everything there's good and bad. Yeah. Right? So there's the positive aspects of social media for marketing.
Listen, I real surprised though. Because you seem well down on social media today. Normally you're a real social media champion.
Listen, I would support it for certain things. As I say, I would support it for the social aspect of it, right? Which I think I'm starting to see now is getting much harder to just use it for, because that's my thing, Social media for me was a real cool liming spot. That was the bar for me, where other people would go and drink on a Friday evening. I would prefer, not saying on a Friday evening, but I just saying, if there is a form of recreation on a Friday or Saturday, going and drink by a bar, however, my form of recreation is picking up my phone and scrolling through like a two-pitya, whatever, whatever, hey, is he seeing thing, whatever, have whatever conversations, be a little miserable, every now and again, whatever. But now I'm realizing that most of the time when I scroll through, it's real rap now. It's real rap, that and real people fighting for attention. And that is getting me mad. So now it's like, this place, it's not feeling like a cool place anymore now. Like, I hate to see on Instagram, it have this thing where people just ask a question or whatever, and they just post it and they write the question, and the person repost the question that they wrote.
Repost the answer to the question.
They report the question and the answer.
Right, yeah.
And they would say whatever they had to say, and I'm like, oh God, things so bad. I told you. Oh, it's like you really need to do that. I mean,
it is, because I never understood it. I never understood why people. Now, okay, I shouldn't make it seem as if I don't understand what could be addictive about social media, because I am addicted to Instagram. I would admit that, but I'm addicted. I was addicted to Facebook at a time, and I'm addicted to Instagram now because it's content. It's just things to see, you know.
Right.
So if your mind is idle, it's something that could get you a little dopamine hit because, you know, you don't know if you're going to see something funny, something interesting, something nice looking, you know what I mean? You don't know what you're going to see, right? But I never understood the desire to like just to get so weirdly interactive with other people. If I want to interact, I would interact with people in person, right? I might make the connection with you on social media. Like if I haven't seen you in a while, I might get your number that way. But then I will want to actually meet with you in person. I just don't understand. Like, you see what you're talking about that, you know, people's posts ask me a question. Why? Why? If bored is what you are, then put the fucking phone down
And go outside?
and go do something.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we are curfew in this country. In
Well,
the great state of...
yeah, but they're doing that in the
South
in broad daylight. Daylight.
Right? Well, true,
So-
somewhat. But also, I think to be fair, to have some risk factor in it, I think they could use that time on social media, not doing that shippiness with ask a question, but having conversations on social media with people. They could use that time to feel out people. That doesn't mean that will all end good. But I just saying there's a possibility that
Well, listen, I think social media could be good, but you have to be very, very intentional on how you use it. You can't let it use you, right?
Right.
So I think I've told you this before. I think social media has given everybody the opportunity to promote themselves. So if you have the ability if you have something to sell, you have something to promote to people, then, you know, this is free advertising.
That's why you see them girl and them pulling up their tights and all they catch you in.
I don't understand.
That's something to sell. That's something to promote.
Well, I guess, yeah. No, and that's the thing. Even if you're using it for that purpose, in terms of you're looking for man or you're looking for woman, okay, then use it specifically for that purpose. I wouldn't do that. I think it's very...
You think you're better than that?
Well, I just find
other than being married. If you were to not be married for whatever reason,
right. If I was single, no. If I'd use no,
Yeah.
I can't. I find it not beneath me. It is too awkward. I would find interacting with somebody artificially or virtually to strike up a relationship. I think it would feel too awkward for me.
But I mean, obviously. But I think now that is where people use to feel all people know.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you want to use it for that,
so for you, so just imagine, you know, you were single in this time and you know, meet a young girl and so let me go nothing. Let me talk here for a while.
Well,
we go tell her.
Listen. Well, we wouldn't. If I meet you and are interested, and you give me your phone number,
but no, people is quicker just give you my Instagram. I talk you to tell that, but
well,
I'll give my Instagram handle or follow me on Instagram.
Right. No, you have to understand. You're talking to somebody that not in the game and hasn't been in the game for a very long time. And since this thing has been the thing that everybody has gotten used to, I haven't had to do it. So you're asking me now if I would want to do it or be comfortable doing it. No. Now, if, let me say, a month pass and is, you know, it's beer air.
It's hard out
It's
there.
beer air. And I realized, well, boy, I have to get into this game. Then, okay, it wouldn't feel good and I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. It would feel real awkward for me. I would feel like if it you know, everybody have an arena, they feel it is shining. I think my arena, I would shine in person.
Right.
I just feel awkward behind a keyboard.
But I think you make a real good point there, and I think that is why people love social media, you know, because it's easier to shine in that arena than in the real arena, you know.
True.
You understand?
True.
So I think that is why so much people love it, because you remember on social media, you're posting your highlights, you're posting the best of your life.
Right.
You post, most people actually, right? Some people just post whatever they want to post, right? But most people, they
and even those, they're posting for attention. So even though it might seem like it's not even if they're not posting the highlights, they're not posting the highlights because they want you to notice that they don't post the highlights. You understand?
No, I think there are some people who post, those people, there are people who post like pictures they would have taken up in an album. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, true, but to them, I think that's highlights.
But what I'm saying is, they don't make no great effort. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
They take a picture and when you watch the background, you'll be like, I know you could have done better than that. I know you could have done better than that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think there are people like that. And to be
Okay.
very honest with you, when I was in the dating game, that is the people I would have focused on. The people who would look like they didn't make much effort in taking the picture and you know, you could
So
watch.
that's why you're going after low-hanging fruit? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that is
Okay.
people.
But
who-
that the weight come off now.
Well,
The weight say, well, I need to go behind people who wouldn't make any effort. What? I know. Okay, I
All
get.
right, so all right, let me clear it up. People who would make an effort to put out only one angle of themselves, or
They weren't trying as hard to impress.
right,
Okay.
right.
Cool,
People
right.
who seem like this is just
Real.
as
Right.
possible.
Yes.
And that was kind of what I used to look for. No. And I think it has
Clearly work out.
it worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
As a married fella.
As a married fella.
It work out.
yeah, and I even before I would say my relationships, the people weren't awful people. I probably had one awful ex, but and I see I meet them real. We went to school together. You understand?
Listen,
I've had better luck on social media, apparently.
I hear, yeah. And like I say, if I was single and had to get used to it, then I had to get used to it. But me personally, I don't. That's not my thing. But the thing is, as I was saying before, I think if you're using it, you have to be intentional about it. If you have something to sell and you want to promote yourself because you want to bring in customers, you want to just get attention to yourself so that you could leverage that to obtain opportunities, then use it for that. Understand that's what you're doing. So I don't have a problem with influencers. I think influencers are the only people who should be on social media. The rest are clowns like we who just be staring at people pictures. We are the ones wasting time.
But then they wouldn't have a job.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is they are the only ones who I could say I have a great deal of respect for them. People normally would say, "Oh, they're just attention seekers." Yeah, but they're using this thing for a purpose, right? They're crafting a brand so that they can market themselves to the outside world to get whatever. Now, the ones who just put real effort into the social media and don't do nothing with it, like they just to see likes, that is a bit weird. But
No, but I disagree with that. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but that hit a dopamine us. Let's be real. It is addictive, as you know, right? So,
that is I don't have respect for that. I know where it comes from, but I don't have respect for that. I have respect for the person who doing everything for the gram, but they're doing it for the gram because listen, this is how I make money. This is my.
well, I think there are some people who might use it not to kill themselves. The 10 likes this make them feel a bit better about themselves.
when you spending money to go to a party you didn't want to go, or to buy clothes you don't really want, or to go on trips you're not really having fun at, just for the gram, just for pics, then that I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Well, I think they might just delay killing themselves a bit longer.
Well, all right. but one of the things before we close off on social media, one of the things I wanted to get your input on was one of the to me the most I want to say one of the biggest downsides of social media, the thing that it's made possible that I think is just the bane of everybody's existence now, and that's cancel culture. That wouldn't be possible without social media. That has been made possible because we have the ability to gang up in online mobs and make people feel uncomfortable. So, having said all that we've said so far, the good and the bad, is that really fucking worth it, dog? Is it really worth it that we had to deal with?
Because I have a bit of, I have to call it sadism, or I'm a bit sadistic. A bit, just a little bit. Yeah, boy. Like, to be real honest with you, if I was in a better financial place, if I had that same fuck you money Kyrie was talking about, I would have been going at them mobs, so being honest with you, I think it would have been fun.
No.
A place for me. Social media would have been a place for me and them to fight.
No. I don't mean you personally. I mean the fact that that cancel culture is now made possible because people could do that. So it's more of whether cancel culture is worth it. Because cancel culture, you could lose important aspects of real culture because of people behaving like jackasses on social media.
Here's the thing for me, right? Obviously, I don't hold the same position as you in against social media, but for me, and cancel culture. It's something I don't really like, but it's something that I think will always shoot itself. It will always backfire on itself. Because a lot of people who cancel people, you realize that sometimes things come back at them. And sometimes something happens, and people stand up to fight for this person, and they realize, oh, this person is not such of a good person as you realize. And even, I will draw reference to this Dave Chappelle thing again, where they're trying to cancel him, and this Netflix employee who was tweeting, using same social media again to try and drum up the squad. Yeah. And you get sent home. You get suspended from your job.
No, but you heard what's happening now. 1,000 Netflix employees are threatening to walk off.
Well,
to walk off the work.
Right. And I think it's going to get real interesting because...
But okay. We will come back to that in a second. But think about this. It is my belief that we now have very, very shitty art on display. And by art, I don't mean visual art. I mean just as in particular films. Music, not so much. But television and films. I think we have very shitty comedy films in particular. When's the last time you saw a good comedic film?
I would agree because comedic film and stand-up, because they are trying to censor themselves a lot. Right. I agree.
And I mean, stand-up not so much because stand-up is still... So people like Bill Burr still exist because, as much as they could try to squeeze them out, once they could fill a room with fans of theirs, they could perform. But the television shows, the movies, they don't get on air because a studio has to back it. And, if it's in the case of, if they're trying to stream it, then some streaming platform would have to give you the okay. And they can't, because you can't get things like super bad no more because every fucking body would be offended. And where does that come from? That comes from... So we're just watching a bunch of sterile
but you don't
art
think, because eventually everything will clean itself? Like people would... the other day, Patrick Bet-David, right? From Valuetainment. He went on Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know if
I didn't watch the episode.
Okay, right.
So but I knew he was on.
Right, so he was there and he was suggesting to Joe Rogan that he should open his own...
Streaming platform?
No, his own social media platform.
Okay.
To go up against things like Facebook and to go against the cancel culture kind of thing where people could be more open and have more open discussion or whatever. Obviously, Joe Rogan on that. Joe Rogan, right? And I mean, obviously, this is not something that could happen now. But I think eventually people get so fed up that if people decide that they're going to have a space for people to bring that type of content back, I think people would subscribe to it.
Yeah, but the problem is, right, that what happens is that because people have tried to make alternatives to like the major social media networks, but because they advertise it as, well, come here and you won't be censored, then what ends up going there, what populates it in the beginning is and then it doesn't become popular because most people are like, I don't want to get involved in that, so I don't want to go through that. But even if we're able to do that, look, we have a generation, like my children haven't, in my opinion, they don't have anything good to watch. They can't watch anything on any platform that isn't more concerned about preaching some message than entertaining them. That isn't just about like, hey, they just want to tell a story. Nobody wants to tell a story anymore. Everybody want to fucking preach to you about how you should feel about this or that or this group, or they want to represent this one or represent that one. And it's more important that the cast be diverse than the actual story be fucking interesting. And a whole generation of youngsters lost. They don't have anything to watch that was, I mean, there were shitty TV and movies in our time too, but there were a lot of movies that everybody watched, that everybody found was good,
but then some people would say, and I'm not saying I'm supporting them, but I just giving it their argument. They would say, but that is why we have such a homophobic and transphobic culture today because of those movies back then.
But the thing is, I didn't see any movies that were promoting homophobia. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't see movies, but I'm not talking about movies promoting homophobia or any phobia. But the point is, they were, at that point in time, they were interested in telling a story and making the story interesting and appealing to everyone. Now, everyone is trying to appease these tiny little groups and trying to say, oh, well, they're less interested in making sure people like the film than getting a round of applause for, pushing this character in front or this kind of character here, showing this, promoting this particular minority as a major character in the show. That's more important. And the stories themselves are falling apart. For instance, the biggest science fiction films I ever liked when I was young starred strong female characters, Terminator and Aliens, right? There was a strong female character who was tough and beating up people or whatever. I didn't feel like I was watching feminist propaganda. I didn't feel like I was watching a movie that was trying to tell me, hey, respect women because women. No, I was just watching a good movie because yes, it had a strong female character at the front, but the movie was good. So you just got lost in the story. Now, you don't see that. You see movies and you're like, yes, I know where this is going because I know what you're trying and why this person is the lead character and why.
But is it that because we are looking for that, we could see it, but when the next generation coming up, they wouldn't really
No, because the new generation seen it. They see it. They see it. I watch the films with my children. They see it. They can tell. You know what I mean? They could see, especially my son, he could see like, yeah, I know where this is going. I know it's going to essentially reach the point because I don't know if you've noticed, but you could barely see any children shows anymore where boys are allowed to be heroes, right? It's almost non-existent. If even when the boy is kind of promoted as the main character, when you look at the show, is always some girl at the side who's really the brains and he just kind of, that's how it always comes off, right? And again, all of that is not necessarily a problem, but the problem is I notice it because the story, you don't get lost in the story. If you get lost in the story, you don't notice any of this bullshit. But
let me give you a little joke, right? The other day, my wife put on Little Rascals. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you realize that show, by today's standards,
would be problematic. Hugely problematic. A lot of what we used to watch.
But it was real good. It was real good when you watch that show.
Exactly. And children now would like it. You understand? And the thing is, the funny thing is, the movies that my children tend to enjoy, not really my older daughter, because there's a big gap between her and the younger ones, right? So she can't really enjoy things that they would enjoy. But the twins, the movies that they would sit and watch with us together and enjoy tend to be older movies.
I mean, we did that for a while here, where we'd watch some throwbacks. So we watched Free Willy. Yeah. So a lot of these shows from back then,
And children seem to enjoy it. You try to find something. When I leave them to try to find something to watch on their own on Netflix, they're bickering all the time because they don't make movies to appeal to everybody anymore. They make movies to appeal to first of all, they seem to be making movies for themselves. They make movies like, so they could feel good about themselves. I just made a film that showed a transgendered character. They don't care about you, the audience, whether you find the movie was good, bad, or indifferent. They don't give a shit about that. You ever saw the movie Dallas Buyers Club?
No, I know the movie, but I never saw it.
Excellent movie. Excellent. Obviously, it's covering the AIDS epidemic and gay men back in that time and so on. And yes, the movie does have a bit of a, feel sorry for gays agenda, but it doesn't envelop you because you're just watching Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto play these characters in an amazing way. And so whether you homophobic or not, you don't care because the movie's good. You understand what I'm saying? And you just don't get that. You don't get that anymore.
So I think a real homophobic people enjoy. A person will enjoy. I
know really homophobic people who watched Philadelphia and enjoyed it.
Okay.
You understand? I saw people who because especially back when Philadelphia came out, it was easy for people to express how they felt about it. But they watched it. And they felt sorry for Tom Hanks. You understand? Because the movie was good. It was telling, so even people who, in fact, people who were homophobic were made to feel kind of, they kind of really rethought their position after seeing, because it's films like that got people to be less homophobic.
Well, right, so I think it come like the vaccine. Only because you're forcing it on people, people kind of
yes. If you just
reluctant to accept it, and they like, nah, don't force it on me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. In the case of art should be to entertain, right? And if you want to make art for yourself, then that's fine. Make art for yourself. But if you want to appeal to an audience, and if you're wondering why, there's such a paucity of good films anymore, it's because, and I mean, we went straight far from social media, but ultimately my thing is that I feel that is made by, I think that has become the way it is because of social media. And cancel culture.
I agree. I mean, what I'll also I'd admit though, that I think cancel culture works sometimes for some people, because sometimes when they try to cancel certain movies and they have an issue to a certain movie, or they have a issue to a certain entertainer, whatever the case may be, sometimes that's when they bring light to certain people and certain movies and something like Cuties. You remember when they was trying to cancel Cuties? I had no intention of watching Cuties before it had all the drama on social media. Oh, the worst show in the world, Netflix, blah, blah, blah. Boycott Netflix, they promoting child porn or whatever. And I was like, well, but I have to see what they're talking about in this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it does kill, it's killed genres. Genres have disappeared. It has killed the careers of many actors, people you just don't see anymore. Because they were cancelled. So there have been people who have actually been cancelled, who it didn't work out for. Louis C.K. is still struggling.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I say struggling, not financially, but he has not risen to where he was before. He is nowhere near that. And people are fighting against him doing that. Even, so even when you try to get atonement and you apologize and you seek redemption. No, fuck that. No, you are not to be on the scene ever again. You know what I mean? And they will still, any show he comes out with, they would promote it to boycott.
I mean, it's really an interesting thing, because no, my thing is, I'm not for cancel culture, but I'm a person who I am for letting things happen and see how they play off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is where I'm at right now. Let's see, because I'm kind of on wanting to see the pushback, wanting to see the fight back, wanting to see the fight between people. And I say, hey, we fed up all in ours. Hustle it. You understand? And that is where I'm at right now. Probably I like too much bacchanal, probably.
No, I know that will come, But my problem is that the time that it takes, there's so much time now where it's lost, where we could have had good fucking films and good music and good comedy and good everything. But this bullshit is robbing us of it. And it's going to take, because listen, when I heard about the 1,000 people walking out on Netflix, I was like, yeah, I wish, because I wish that Netflix caves and takes off all the Dave Chappelle. You know why? Because I want people to boycott Netflix. I want Netflix to fail. I want any outlet that encourage, because remember, Netflix was encouraging that bullshit. Netflix, we were talking about this the other day and I forgot this. Netflix fired an executive because he was in some meeting he was talking about what sort of offensive language shouldn't, and he said, I think it was nigger he said, right? And they fired him for that. Some employee reported that they didn't feel safe, and everybody knows that's bullshit. You know that's bullshit. I know that's bullshit, right? Nobody did not feel safe, and if you didn't feel safe, then something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? If somebody's saying that word in that context, at best you could say, hey, I know what you're trying to do, but still, don't say the word. Okay, and we end that story there.
Well, at best.
At best, yeah. I'm saying I wouldn't get involved in that, but at best you could say, okay, well. But don't pretend, oh, well, I heard that and I didn't feel like I was in a safe environment. So when Netflix pretends to be not a company and to stand for this and stand, all right, well, stand for it. Stand for it.
I think when Netflix, I understand what you're saying there, but in this situation, I think when you watch it, you say, okay, this is the amount of people that's bothered. This is the amount of subscribers.
Right. No, but what I'm saying, I know that's what they're doing
Yeah.
because it's all, the only reason they ever acquiesce before is because they don't feel they'll take a loss for it. They think they will get, because when they come out and give you some, and morally grandstand and pretend that they stand for this.
Understand. Everybody played it, and it come just like the basketballers as we were speaking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
It come down to, boy, which battle
Right.
I choose, and I will choose the battle that best suits me.
Precisely.
And not necessarily battle that was the moral high ground.
On principle.
Yeah.
They're not standing on principle. They are company and they don't. So my thing is, that's why the employees are coming, are behaving like that. Because you know what they're trying to say? No. We will hold your feet to the fire. And you stand for that? Nah, don't give me that capitalist bullshit now about, you're a company for profit. No. Because when people might have made that argument like Netflix, don't cave to free speech, no, you don't want to hear fucking that. You stand for this and you stand for it. And that is why I want to see them. I want to see those employees walk out, and I want to see them Netflix cave and pull along Dave Chappelle so that people will be like, okay, unplug Netflix now.
Now Netflix, I just letting you know, I am not in total agreement with him. If 1,000 of the workers leave and you need employees, I have plenty years experience working in the media on the back end, right? My number is
Listen, I don't want to begrudge your work, but I just saying I want to see them fail because I want people to finally realize, hey, let me stop this shit. Let's stop this pretense. These companies don't stand for anything but profit. Yes, it mightn't be profit at all costs, and it may have some principles, but at the end of the day, all of this is PR. So stop pretending. Nike's just make fucking shoes and sweat factories, but tell you they don't care about equality. Shit to tell them. You know what I mean? So let's stop allowing these companies to pretend that they're.
Well, I mean, Facebook and all them just do it. All forms of social, because I don't know if you knew. I know you're not a Twitter person. You know you can see hardcore porn on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I've heard about that.
You can see hardcore pornography on Twitter.
Yeah.
Where a child could be on Twitter and see hardcore pornography.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I've heard about it. And they keep saying the bots can't scrub the accounts fast enough or whatever. But but you tweet, a woman has a vagina, and they'll find your tweet rather quickly and pull it down.
Or a man can't
get
have
pregnant.
a period or can't get pregnant.
Yeah. And they would. In fact, we just saying this now. We're going up on YouTube. This will demonetize automatically. Well, it would. I don't know if it would monetize anyway. But the point is, you're already likely to be shadow banned for saying that. You know what I mean? Even just having those words together, if the algorithm picks it up, you're probably going to get shadow banned. But as you say, you could see all sorts of different things
in these places. You could go on Facebook and see very violent fights. People being shot. But guess what?
But you can't hurt somebody's feelings, like Dave Chappelle said. You know what I mean? You could, the baby. Nobody wanted to cancel the baby after he was. I mean, to be fair.
No. Let me tell you where my issue was with that. Okay, he killed the man in self-defense. But when he sing it in his song boastful.
Right. And that's the thing. But think about that. Think about how feminists would kick up a fuss about not having a strong female character or female representation in films or whatever, women being bossy in films. When I say bossy, not unbearable bossy, I mean being bosses, right?
Because they're too bossy, it could be a problem too,
Well,
because then see you're depicting women in particular.
Right, true. So, but nobody has any problem with what happens in rap music. Nobody has any problem with that. Nobody has any problem with the most famous rap artists and with the most streams and most album sales consistently referring to women as bitches and hoes. Nobody sees an issue with that.
Nah.
We so concerned that if you allow people to hear certain views on a TV show or in a podcast or in something, it would lead to them taking that and carrying it out on these marginalized groups. But then we listen to violent music all the time.
But that's a whole next
podcast.
I think because that could spin into a whole different topic. Is it that they would allow it for a particular set of people but won't You know?
It's not necessarily that, but we'll get into that next podcast.
Right? Yeah. We'll jump into our next podcast. So let's wrap it up.
On a lighter note, though.
On a lighter note, you watched the Squid Games?
Last night for the first time.
Oh, so you only watched like a few episodes?
Yes.
Serious?
Yeah. Listen.
You think you'll watch some more?
No.
Serious?
Listen, I only watch it
How
because we said we was going to talk about
many episodes? How many episodes?
I got into episode number 3.
Okay.
Right. And listen, because I recommended it because I say, like we said in the last episode, we want to do the lighter note. We want to, end it off on a, not such a heavy topic. So I say, all right, let me find something that, what is as pop culture-ish going on right now that, that we could find, and Squid Games was the thing, but I'd never seen it. So I had to watch it to be able to talk about it.
And you really feel you're going. No. All right. Let me see if I could wrap up this as quick as possible with these Squid Games. When I started watching it, I think I watched 2 or 3 episodes first, and I was like, "Yo, this is a bit disturbing." I don't think I want to watch this. I think it's a bit crazy. I think is sociopaths will want to sit down and watch a show like this.
I don't think so.
And then, I think I was probably having a moment with my wife, or not having a moment, or it's go. So as
yeah, right.
In my alone time,
right.
So I still don't put it back on. Probably as having some sociopathic thoughts too. So I decided, okay,
live vicariously as opposed to going out and carrying it out yourself.
Right? So I say, let me put it on and watch it. And I'd be honest, I think the show got better in the lower episodes.
I mean, is it a limited series? Because that's another thing. I hate series that just run on forever.
All right. So the thing is, this round of it will end by the 10th episode. Right?
So then the next episode will be a different round of the game. Would be different characters.
Probably it will be different characters. Okay. But it ends enough that you know who won, whatever.
Right. Okay.
Right? And I think, you are a very weird person, I would admit. And I think the way the kind of emotions I think people normally have towards certain things, most of the time you don't have those emotions towards things.
Okay.
Right?
Well, that's why I was going to say that I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I've never seen, I can't think of any other thing that was a fan favorite now, but you're right. I tend to not find those things interesting. Now, I never watched Game of Thrones, like an episode and found it was shitty and didn't bother. That just never held any interest to me. It's not my genre. I don't know anything. It holds no interest in me. But there is a little part of me that does feel like when something getting that amount of hype in the general public, that does, it sometimes make me want to stay away.
Right.
I tend to feel like I ain't go like that shit. So I felt the same way about Squid Games. But I said, okay, because I want to talk about it, let me give it a try. And I really don't understand what the hype is about. It does not grip me. Now, it's not boring. It's not garbage. I just don't see what is gripping about it. I don't understand why.
Well, I mean, I guess in most situations, anything where you're going to find out who wins at the end, people will want to stay to see who wins. Now, if you have a half a brain of how movies work or how shows work, and you understand when they're building the characters, you can say, it's obvious. That person is going to be, you know, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. For me, right, what I would if you craft a story well and you build and you create very interesting characters, I want to see what happens with those characters. Right. No one in that entire TV show has drawn me in. No character, I mean. Because, okay, when I see a good series, I don't like to watch series again because I don't understand how people just commit all that time to something like, what the fuck, dog? Like just, I mean, there have been some series that have caught me, but it's not regular. I tend to, if it's a movie, I just watch that and I'm done. Or if it's a limited series where, it's about 8 episodes, that you watch that and it's done. Fine. But when I do catch a series when I do find a series that catches me, I I just find it hard to not click next episode or next lady because it just be so, I can't wait because I am impatient fella. So I don't want to, although I could wait till tomorrow, go to sleep and wake up and watch it tomorrow. I want to see now. That, boy, I had to like, all right, okay, I want to watch more than one episode so I could give it a fair chance.
It gets a bit more interesting. I don't know how much empathy you have in you. But there are some parts where the empathetic part in you would be like, wait, boy, we are feeling sorry for that person. You know? And I mean, as I say, I don't know how much of that they have in you.
Well, listen, if you make the character intriguing to me, then I will get drawn in and I would feel sorry for and root for and whatever. But what I'm saying is, thus far, none of those characters. I know, obviously, the main, the main character who they focus on from the very beginning. I mean, you're kind of feeling a little bit rooting for him because of what he went through and with the ex-wife and whatever. And they're kind of building you up to feel sorry for him. But that's about it. I really don't care about any of the characters.
All right. So 2 things before we close. One, I think that show, for whatever reason, I don't think anybody thought that show would have been that big. I don't think Netflix thought so. I don't think the person who wrote it thought that. Especially globally. Probably they made it for South Korea or wherever, right? And they thought, okay, they'll probably do well there. But to be, I think by now it's probably the most watched show on Netflix ever. It was number 1 in 90 countries at one point in time. Yes. And there's not 200 and something countries, just saying for the minister in Trinidad who say it had 200 and something countries in the world. Anyhow, I think that's one. And with them not thinking, so, and I think the show was not structured for our consumption. So the way the story unfolds, so it starts one way, and then the story went the next direction. Normally, it starts, we feel sorry, we think, and then it get wild, and we see action, and things go a little wild, and things go a little crazy, and you know what I'm saying? But it kind of operate with all these people getting killed in the first episode, in the red light, green light, which is not something we're accustomed to, not like that.
That part I find was the best part of the first episode.
Right. So, and then, but you see, that's the thing. So, now it come like, it climax at the starting. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it started to slow back down. And I think, so when it's going to episode 2, and she's like, what's this?
And you see, that's the thing. What is supposed to be happening in the lulls is that the characters are supposed to be built up.
Right.
So the storyline gets more interesting. You see different layers of the character, and that is what carries you through till the next game when they have the suspense and who going to win and who going to get killed or whatever, right? That's what is supposed. But where the show falls down to me is in between those periods. I just find it just feels like nothing is happening to me.
Well, right, and I think because the high was so high, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If that started high in the middle, and then the lulls were kind of weird or slow, or whatever, it'd be okay. But the high was so high that when they rejoined the lulls, like, this is like we went from here to 0. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I don't understand what I don't get it.
But then eventually it started to pick back up, and they started building characters a bit later on, and then and the show. Well, the next thing is how they structured where it is they build the character kind of in the episode that the character is going to die.
Okay.
So they didn't spend time building all the characters, and then they watch the games and they fall off.
Right.
So it was okay. We build this character now. This one going to die.
Right.
We're going to build. Then we start the next episode. We build this character now. Then this one gonna die.
Well, so far it didn't appear that way to me because so far all the characters that they focused on have made it through.
Right.
So a dog.
But most of the people had to die. So.
Well, yeah. I know. So maybe I'll get to that point where you see it, where it's like they focus on this character, and then maybe that comes later. If I could bear it, I'll probably give it one more episode. You see the part where the men and them eat ramen without boiling it, boy?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? I was just like, what kind of wicked man thing is that? Just open a pack of ramen and break it. What is that? And the other thing, interesting thing is, I never even thought about South Korean currency before now. But as soon as I started watching this and hearing these ridiculous numbers, like, okay, well, best I Google.
Right.
You know,
I find a lot of people did.
Where's the exchange rate US to $1? Because I never thought of, as I say, I know Japanese currency is
So I thought it was not 10,000.
is low.
Yeah.
Compared to trades low compared to the US dollar. So I knew that before, but I never thought of South Korean currency now. So that was the other thing. So while it was going on, that is all that was interested in me. I was just finding out more about South Korea.
Right, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And watching man eat ramen raw.
No, but I would say episode 6. No.
I thought you were going to say, I eat ramen raw.
Nah, I tried to stay away from ramen on the whole. I would probably do like the spicy ramen for YouTube challenges and whatnot. But I try to stay away from ramen. I always tell people this is not medical advice, but I always tell people things like that has this extremely long shelf life.
Yeah, it's so cheap.
Never be good for you.
It's so cheap.
Yeah.
So ultimately, to the question, Squid Games were the hype. I go say no.
Nah, I telling you, watch until episode 6. There's plenty to ask, but watch until episode 6. And
that's 3 more hours of my life, innit?
Well, I mean, Rowley curfew just now, got nothing to do after that. I mean,
ooh, you and Rowley curfew, you love to talk about Rowley curfew. Anyhow,
but who curfew this?
No, I know, but it's just I didn't mention it in every episode.
That there were more murders in Rowley curfew than Kamala curfew?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I just thought that the other day, like.
Anyway, so that is it.
On a lighter note.
So yeah, until next time, I don't know. Other than following on the conversation we having before, we have a whole fresh set of topics for them next time. On the Alternative Perspectives podcast. Of course, you watch it to get an alternative perspective. So if you have a closed mind and you're only interested in what the mainstream has to say, then don't subscribe, don't do all that bullshit. Or you could do that too. Yeah, you could do that too.
Suck one no more.
But don't subscribe and don't like. But if you do,
yeah,
do that.
Do them thing there.
Yeah.
Easy.